Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley, and this is another Integrating Your Shadow. I hope that my swinging doesn't make people nauseous, sorry. And today we're going to talk a little bit about trauma bonds. So while we're doing our shadow work, we're being triggered, we're being challenging our beliefs, we're growing, we're going through hard shit, old memories, old traumas resurfacing. It's all part of the process. You're doing a good job. But I want to talk about trauma bonds specifically because I was really healing from a lot of shit and doing really well, and then I got into some trauma bonds that kind of set me back a lot. So I just want to let folks know what they are, be aware of it, so you can see it if it's happening in your life. Also, I got these matching PJs from Walmart yesterday, and they were all on clearance. I got a shit ton of, I'm in my matching PJ kitty face. So but a trauma bond is a friendship, a relationship, a support system that usually comes in when you're pretty low, and helps with making whatever you're going through I don't want to say normalized, but normalized is a word we can use here. It's usually a person that has been through something similar, can empathize with you, is supportive. But the ways to recognize if it's a trauma bond versus just someone, a friend or relationship supporting you through a time is to recognize things that happen within your conversations. If there's So let me give you an example. So I've had trauma bonds with a lot of people in my life, both on my side and being on the receiving end. I wasn't aware of them. I didn't understand how toxic they could be or how bad they are. Because it's hard to differentiate between a friendship or, someone with a common path, versus a reciprocal relationship of toxicity where you enable each other through having experienced trauma, but then it turns into a really unhealthy just blame it on the trauma kind of situation. And it's this person can become a crutch for if you're feeling low, if you're, instead of doing that work, you call them for the acknowledgement, the validity of what you're going through. But it's highly toxic because it's a trauma bond. You're bonding over traumas that you've had. And so we can get stuck in these ways of, again, just seeking out some validity for what we've experienced, enabling or codependency within these trauma bonds instead of doing the work. And I know that's so broad and unfair. So the work that we do to release trauma, it varies. I mean, it's different for everybody. But I just want everyone to be aware of a trauma bond. I've been stuck in them, and until, I would say quite recently, the past few years recently, I wasn't aware of them, I think it's always nice to have someone who can have sympathy or empathy because they've been through a certain amount of things to support folks through trauma, right? That's what I try to do. But there are these times when it can be totally toxic and unhealthy. And I just wanted to give an example of what that looks like so that we don't get stuck in trauma bonds. Because when we do get stuck in trauma bonds, we're going to just continue to redo these cycles of trauma, both the person that we're trauma bonding with and ourselves. So, again, just if you're going through something, or if you've been through something, and if you've had certain people come into your lives at certain times, or if you have someone that you go to whenever something's really shitty, and you know they make you feel better, they inflate your ego, more than likely that could be a trauma bond. That doesn't mean you need to drop the person out of your life. It just you need to have better boundaries. Be aware of the potential for this trauma bond happening, because it's just going to cause more issues than it would to face whatever you've been through, and decide to take on healing. So a lot of times trauma bonds can kind of take like a narcissist empath dynamic, you know, good cop, bad cop. It's very easy to tell because there's so much like magnetism and contradictory energy. And like I said, if there is someone in your life that you do call on, that you're unaware of having a trauma bond, this person is usually going to just like kind of trauma dump on you when you're, you know, calling them for trauma or support as well. So this is why it's such a like toxic dynamic, because instead of feeling better about what you're going through or making progress to heal from things, we're just, you know, getting a pat on the back and then being bombarded with other people's shit that's going to leave us feeling even worse, right? So just be aware of trauma bonds. They can be very sneaky. Like I said, there can be a dynamic of like light and dark within this relationship. Other things to look for are like codependency or enabling, or just like that narcissist empath kind of vibe. Like just like that light and darkness. I don't know. I feel like if I keep talking more, I'm just gonna say stupid shit. So that's trauma bonds. So yeah, just be careful if you're in any of that. If you do have folks, or like even if you've experienced something traumatic with someone, like alongside someone, and you guys share that trauma, that could be another way that trauma bonding happens. And then if it is a shared experience, there can be like just that victim mode, like, oh, we experienced this, you know, that means we don't have to do this because we were victims kind of thing. So just watch out for trauma bonds. Know that they're pretty common. I think a lot of it happens subconsciously because of our need as humans to really connect with one another. So just be aware, and do your best to recognize it if it's happening or if you're in a trauma bond, and also do your best to make boundaries or whatever you need to do to maintain your mental sanity and stability, and ensure that you don't get into that place where you were initially when the trauma first happened. All right, I am being led around the our yard, so I'm gonna let y'all go. I hope you have a great day.